Question number 13. In a market for a good, both demand and supply change at the same time. Which combination of changes would enable an economist to predict with confidence that more resources will be needed in its production, but not the direction of associated price change? So, which of the options would help us to figure out that more resources will be needed, but we can't say for sure what is the direction of the associated price change? So, I have four graphs in front of us here which represent the four options, and let's try to find out which option here matches with the options that we have in front of us. So now let's look at option A. Option A, demand decreases and supply also decreases. So let's plot these. So when the demand decreases, we move the curve towards the left. So this is how the demand curve will look like. And the supply curve is also decreasing in option A, which means when the supply curve decreases, we move the supply curve to the left, and so we move here. Now we can't be certain about the price because the price can be anywhere depending on how far the supply curve and the demand curve move, because they're moving in the same direction. But we know for certain that the quantity has actually fallen, because the quantity is actually here and originally the quantity was over here. So the quantity has actually fallen. But the question says that more resources will be needed. So more resources. So we know that this option is not correct, because under this option we are actually using less resources. So option A is out. Now let's look at option number B. In option number B, we see that demand decreases and supply increases. So let's plot this. So when the demand is decreasing, so the demand goes leftwards, which is shown like this, and the supply is increasing, which means that the supply goes rightwards, which means that the supply now goes like this. So now what do we know here? We know that, so we are at this point here. At this point, we are not certain about the quantity, because the quantity is very close, so it could go in any direction, but we are certain that the price is actually now lower. Originally, the price was here. This is the original point, and now the price has actually gone down. And so we see that this is actually also not what the question says, because according to the question, the economists would not know the direction of the associated pricing, but this option we can say with what is the direction of the price change. So this means that this option is also out. Let's look at option C now. In option C, the demand is increasing and the supply is decreasing. So let's do this. So the demand curve increases, which means that the demand curve now goes like this, shifts rightwards, and the supply curve is decreasing, so which means that the supply would go leftwards, so which is marked like this. So now what do we know here? So we know that originally we were at this point with this quantity and with this price, and now we are at this point. We are now at this point where the price has actually increased, but again we cannot tell about the quantity. So we know that the price has increased, which again uh, is not what the question says, because again the economist does not know the direction of the associated pricing. But in this option we can actually say certainly that the price has increased, while we do not know anything about the quantity, so we can also rule out option C. So by the process of elimination, we have reached this conclusion that the correct option is option number D. But let's just look at what option number D says. So in option number D, both demand and supply, they are increasing. So let's plot this. So demand increases, it goes towards the left. So demand is like this. And the supply curve also shifts towards the right, which means that the supply curve is now like this. All right. So what do we know here? We know that originally this was the price and this was the quantity, and now the price is here and the quantity is here. So the quantity is actually increased, which means that more resources are required, just as the question says, and we are not sure about the price because the price can go in any way. So the correct option is option number D. But what we have learned from this is that if both demand and supply they move in the same direction, they either both increase, demand also increases and supply also increases, which is here in this case in the option number D. The quantity increases, but we are not sure about the price. Similarly, when both demand and both supply decrease, which means that they are both decreasing, their direction is the same, which is in option A. Again, we can be sure about the quantity, that the quantity has decreased, but we can't be sure about the price. Whereas if they both move in the opposite direction, which is option B and option C, in option B, demand is decreasing and supply is increasing, which is like this. We know that the price decreases and we cannot be sure about the quantity. And in option number C, when they are both moving in the opposite direction, demand is increasing and supply is decreasing, which is here. We know that the price increases certainly, but we do not know about the quantity. So in conclusion, when both demand and supply move in the same direction, we know about the quantity, we don't know about the price. But when they move in the opposite directions, we know about the price, the direction of the price, but we do not know about the direction of the quantity.